The cold encounter, the wind howled like a wild beast outside the small wooden cabin. Snow fell heavily from the black sky, covering everything in thick white silence. Inside the cabin, a single lamp flickered. Ryan, a lone human living on this icy alien planet, poured himself a cup of hot water. He had been stationed here months ago, working as a remote repair technician for deep space satellites. It was lonely, but peaceful. He wrapped a blanket around himself and sat near the fire. Suddenly, knock, knock, scratch. Ryan froze. The cabin was deep in the northern ice fields. No humans lived within 100 miles. No animals knocked like that. He stood slowly, picked up his old blaster from the table, and walked to the door. Knock, knock. This time, it was weaker, slower, like something was about to collapse. Ryan opened the door just a crack, his weapon ready. What he saw took his breath away. A girl, not human. She was tall, slender, and had soft silver skin. Her hair glowed slightly, like moonlight trapped in strands. Her eyes, large and violet, looked up at him with fear and pain. She wore nothing but a torn cloak, barely covering her trembling body. Her lips moved, but no sound came. Then she collapsed forward. Ryan caught her just in time. "Hey, stay awake!" he shouted, dragging her inside and shutting the door fast. Behind him, she was cold, ice cold. He quickly laid her near the fire and wrapped her in his thickest blankets. Her skin had strange marks, some looked like bruises, others like symbols. He checked her pulse. It was weak, but still there. "Who are you?" he whispered. "What happened to you?" The alien girl didn't answer. She was unconscious. An hour passed. Ryan stayed beside her, feeding the fire and checking her temperature. Slowly, her breathing became steady. Her skin warmed a little. Suddenly, she moved. Her eyes opened wide, glowing slightly in the dim light. She looked around. In panic, her hand reached for something on her neck. It was a collar, old and cracked. Ryan raised his hands. "It's okay," he said calmly. "You're safe now. No one's chasing you here." She stared at him, confused, then whispered something in a soft, broken voice. "Shelter. You gave me shelter," Ryan nodded. "Yeah, it's freezing outside. You'd have died out there." She blinked slowly, then her expression changed. A mix of seriousness and strange calm spread across her face. Then, "I must warm your bed," Ryan coughed. "Excuse me." She sat up weakly, still wrapped in blankets. Her eyes met his. "I owe you. Shelter in a storm is sacred. I must serve the one who saves me." Ryan was stunned. "Look, I didn't save you for that. I just didn't want you to die." She tilted her head. "But it is our way, a life debt. Warmth for warmth. I think we have a cultural misunderstanding here," he muttered. The girl looked at him, then down at her hands. "You don't want me?" "No, yes, I didn't save you for that reason." She stayed quiet. The fire crackled. Wind howled again outside. Ryan rubbed the back of his head, trying to explain. "You're safe. That's enough. You don't owe me anything." The alien girl finally smiled, just a little. "My name is Elavi." "Ryan," he replied. "Just get some rest. We'll talk more in the morning." She nodded slowly and leaned back on the floor cushions near the fire. But before closing her eyes, she whispered again, "Even if you say no, human, I still belong to you now." Ryan didn't know what to say. He just stared into the fire, wondering what strange thing he had just invited into his life. The meaning of belonging. Ryan didn't sleep much that night. He lay in his bed, listening to the wind outside and the soft breathing of the alien girl, Elavi, sleeping near the fireplace. His mind was full of questions. Who was she? Why was she wearing that collar? And what did she mean when she said, "I still belong to you now"? By morning, the storm had eased. Snow still covered the world outside, but the sky was no longer angry. Ryan walked to the fire quietly. Alavi was still sleeping. Her silver skin looked healthier now. Her lips were no longer blue, but she still clutched the blanket tightly, and her hands kept twitching, as if she was ready to run or fight. He made some warm soup from ration packs and placed it next to her. She opened her eyes slowly. "You stayed," she said softly. "Yeah, and so did you," Ryan replied with a small smile. She sat up, slowly sniffed the soup, and took small sips. Then her eyes returned to him, studying his face carefully. "You are strange for a male," Ryan blinked. "What's that supposed to mean?" "In my world," Alavi said, "males take what they are owed. Shelter means claim. You claimed me, but you are afraid of that." "I'm not afraid," Ryan said firmly. "I just don't think anyone should belong to anyone." "You're not property," she frowned. "But I am not property, I am bound. There is honor in this. Dignity." Ryan rubbed his forehead. This was getting complicated. They sat in silence for a while. Then Alavi pointed at her collar. "You wonder about this?" "Yes, looks like it's not part of your fashion." "It's not," she said, voice colder. "It is a tracker. Put on me by those who hunted me." Ryan's stomach tightened. "So you're running from someone?" Alavi nodded. "My own kind. I was chosen for a ceremonial bond with a male I did not know. A powerful one. I refused. I ran. They call me traitor now." Ryan sat back. "And they'll keep chasing you." "Yes," she whispered, "unless I'm claimed by a foreigner. Then, by treaty law, I am protected." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Wait, that's why you said ... warm your bed? You thought that would protect you? It's not just protection. It is custom. Sacred, life for life, body for body, warmth for warmth." He leaned forward. "I didn't ask for that." She looked at him quietly. "I know," she said. "That's why I chose you." Suddenly, a beep came from Ryan's comms panel. He walked over. "Unregistered energy signal detected in this region," the voice said. "Please report if any. Alien contact has occurred." Ryan's heart skipped. Someone knew something was out here. He looked back at Alavi. Her body was trembling again, this time with fear. "They're looking for me," she said, her voice a whisper. He turned off. "The panel, no one's here," he replied. Her eyes widened. "You're hiding me?" Ryan gave her a firm nod. "I don't turn in people who are freezing and terrified." Alavi stood up. The blanket dropped slightly from her shoulder. Ryan looked away, embarrassed. She didn't notice. Or maybe she didn't care. She walked to him slowly. Then softly she said, "Then let me fulfill the bond. Make it true." "I don't want to run anymore." Ryan stepped back. "Listen, I don't want you to think you have to do anything." Alavi stared at him, confused. "On my world, offering one's warmth is not shameful. It is strength. It is trust. You confuse me, human," he sighed. "And you confuse me." They both stared at each other for a long moment. Then Alavi looked down. "I will not force you," she said quietly, "but I will stay ... if you allow." Ryan looked out the window. Snow still covered the hills. Tracks would be easy to spot. He turned back to her. "You can stay," he said. She gave a small bow. "Then I will protect your fire, as you protected mine." That night, Ryan made her a bed of soft furs beside the fire, but when he went to sleep, he found a silver-skinned figure curled up quietly at the foot of his bed. He didn't say a word. He just sighed and pulled the blanket over them both. The collar's secret morning sunlight poured through the frosted window, casting a soft glow on the cabin floor. Ryan woke to the quiet sound of breathing beside him. Alavi was still there, curled gently at the edge of the bed like a cat, guarding its chosen home. He watched her for a moment, unsure what surprised him more, that she had stayed, or that he hadn't told her to leave. Then, a sudden clicking noise broke the calm. Alavi was awake too. She was tugging at the metal collar on her neck, her delicate fingers working with quiet frustration. "You've been trying to take that off since last night," Ryan said, sitting up. She nodded without looking at him. "It's a tracking collar, Imperial Tech. High level. I broke the beacon crystal, but the ID tag still pings. You're saying someone out there still knows who you are?" "Yes," she whispered, "but they don't know where. Yet." Ryan walked over to his workbench and picked up a small toolkit. "Let me try," he said, kneeling in front of her. Alavi blinked. "You would touch it?" He gave a small smile. "If I can fix satellites with frozen fingers, I can deal with a little alien jewelry." Her lips curved, barely a smile. Ryan studied the collar closely. It was sealed with nanolocks and etched with strange alien symbols, symbols that glowed faintly when touched. But there was a problem. As he pressed near one of the symbols, the collar gave off a low hum, and zap! A small arc of energy shot his fingers. Ryan pulled back. "That thing's alive." Alavi's face fell. "It's protected by code claiming. Only a bonded partner can break it." He stared. "You mean like married?" She hesitated. "Not marriage exactly, but similar." Ryan sat back, frustrated. "So even your collar thinks we're not bonded?" Alavi looked at him seriously. "We are bonded, but only through words and intent. The collar needs—" She paused, embarrassed. Physical contact, a symbol of unity." Ryan flushed. "What kind of contact are we talking about?" "Something intimate, skin to skin, voluntary, symbolic. That's how the system reads it." He shook his head, unsure whether to laugh or panic. Alien tech is so weird. Ryan stood up and began pacing. Outside, clouds were building again. Another snowstorm was likely. But worse than the storm was the signal he intercepted just minutes later. A faint ping flashed on his comm panel. Unidentified drone detected in nearby airspace. Ryan froze. Someone scanning the valley. Alavi rushed to his side. "They found the general area. They're narrowing it down." He turned to her. "Can they track the collar?" "If they fly close enough, yes." Ryan grabbed the heavy coat and stuffed a power pack into a thermal bag. "We need to block the signal. I have an old dampener buried near the relay tower. But I need to reach it before they do." Alavi reached for her boots. "No," Ryan said. "You stay here. If they see you." "I'm not afraid," she replied. "I am," he said, his voice low. That made her pause. He turned to the door, ready to step into the cold. But before he opened it, he felt her hand on his arm. "If something happens to you out there," she said softly, "I will break the bond myself, so you are free." Ryan turned back and looked at her, really looked at her. This strange girl from another world somehow didn't feel like a stranger anymore. "You're not just some obligation," he said. "You're someone I want to protect." Alavi blinked surprised, and then slowly nodded. "Then I will keep your fire alive," she whispered, "until you return." Ryan disappeared into the storm, wind whipping his coat like a cape. Inside the cabin, Alavi knelt near the fire and watched the collar glow faintly at her throat. But what she didn't see was that outside, far across the snowfields, a hunter drone had already changed direction. It was flying straight toward the cabin. Firelight and footsteps. The wind howled louder than before. Snow slammed against the cabin walls like fists of ice. But inside, it was strangely quiet. Alavi sat cross-legged by the fire, her silver eyes fixed on the door. Her fingers gripped the old human blanket tightly. Every gust of wind made her ears twitch. Every creak of wood made her breath pause. Ryan had been gone for over an hour. She looked down at the collar around her neck. The symbols were glowing. Again soft blue at first, now pulsing red. Danger was close. She stood and walked to the window. Through the frost-covered glass, she saw a shadow floating across the snowy ridge. It wasn't Ryan. A drone. Small, fast, silent. Its black wings shimmered against the white sky, and its glowing lens scanned the surface. It circled, slowing as it passed over the cabin roof. Olivia stepped back and reached for Ryan's backup blaster. She had never fired a human weapon before, but she had no choice now. Then a voice crackled from outside. "Princess Alavi of the Karekarithi line by law. Surrender yourself." Alavi's blood ran cold. They had found her. Meanwhile, Ryan was racing through the storm with the old signal jammer slung over his shoulder. Snow reached his knees. His breath came in clouds, but he didn't stop. He reached the relay point and dropped to his knees beside the old satellite pole buried in ice. Using frozen fingers, he began connecting the dampener. Come on, he whispered. "Just block the signal. Just long enough." Then his buzzed, weak signal. Distorted voice. "Ryan. They. Here. Roof. Alavi's." Voice. He froze. "No," he said, grabbing the half-wired jammer. Too late. He turned and sprinted back through the snow, pushing his body beyond its limits. Back at the cabin, Olivia stood near the door, weapon in hand. The drone outside projected a blue circle in the snow. "Step into the circle. Surrender, and you will not be harmed." She stared at the circle, then down at her hands, then back at the fire behind her. Ryan's fire. The human's fire. The one that saved her. The one that made her feel alive. "No," she said quietly. "I have made a bond." She raised the blaster and fired at the drone. The bolt missed, but it was enough. The drone's lens turned red. It began charging its own weapon. Olivia ducked behind the wall just as the cabin shook with a crack of energy. Wood splinters flew across the room. She crawled across the floor, bleeding slightly from her arm. The drone was circling now, preparing. Another strike. But before it could fire again, a new blast came from behind the trees. Ryan burst from the snow, his coat torn and his face covered in ice. He aimed his old military rifle and shot again. This time, the drone exploded in the air. Burning pieces rained down like black snowflakes. Ryan ran into the cabin, slamming the door behind him. "Alavi!" She was on the floor, holding her arm. He rushed to her. "I'm fine," she said, trying to sit up. "But you came back." "I told you I would," he said, breathless. "That drone nearly fried you." "It warned me," she said, showing the collar's glowing runes. "They used it to find me." Ryan looked at the collar again. "That thing has to come off." Alavi nodded slowly. "Then do it. Complete the bond." He blinked. "You're serious?" She leaned in. Closer. "We've shared shelter, fire, risk, trust. You fought for me. The bond is already real." But she placed her hand gently over his chest. "Then let it be true in their eyes too." That night, they sat close together near the fire. Ryan connected the signal jammer and began working on the collar again. Alavi touched his wrist. "No need," she said. She reached for the lock, placed her hand over his heart, and whispered something in her native tongue. The collar gave a soft chime and unlocked. It dropped to the floor with a metallic thud. Ryan stared. "That's it?" Alavi smiled softly. "That's all it needed. A real connection." Outside, the wind howled again, but inside the cabin, the fire was stronger than ever, and so was something else. Something warmer than the flame. The night they claimed each other, for the first time since she arrived, Alavi slept with both eyes closed. The collar was gone. Her skin was bare around the neck, a symbol of freedom. She had no more marks of being hunted, owned, or traded. Only a soft bandage on her arm and the steady rhythm of the fire. Ryan sat awake, watching the collar on the floor. Even though the signal jammer was working, he knew the enemy wouldn't stop. He had bought time, not peace. His eyes shifted to Alavi. She looked so different now. Not just without the collar, but in the way she breathed. Calmer, lighter. She looked like someone no longer afraid to exist. He got up and stepped outside. Cold slapped his face, but the stars were bright. The wind had quieted. He needed to think. A few minutes later, the cabin door creaked behind him. Bare feet in the snow. He turned sharply. "Alavi, what are you doing?" She wore only his oversized jacket. It hung past her knees, but she didn't seem cold. "You left," she said quietly. "Again, I just needed air," he said. "Didn't want to wake you." She came closer. "You think too much. You hold too much fear inside." He laughed a little. That's kind of normal for a human who just shot down an Imperial drone and helped a runaway alien noble break her collar. Alavi tilted her head. "I am not just an alien, not just a noble. I'm me." She pointed to the jacket she was wearing. "This smells like you. Feels like safety. It is not a prison, it is comfort." He looked at her, really looked. "You could have left," he said. "Even after I removed the collar. You were free. I am free," she whispered. "And I chose to stay." They stood in silence, the snow falling gently now. A soft breeze carried the smell of firewood from the chimney. "I don't understand your world," she said suddenly. "I don't understand why a male would protect without claiming, fight without demanding, save without taking." Ryan gave a tired smile. "Maybe it's not about taking. Maybe it's about caring." She stepped closer. "Then I want to care. For you too." He stiffened. "A la vie." She reached out and gently touched his cheek. Her hand was cold from the snow, but her voice was warm. "You gave me your fire. Now let me give you mine." Back inside, they sat close on the floor. Wrapped in one thick blanket, Alavi leaned her head on his shoulder. For the first time, she looked small, soft. Not just a warrior or runaway, just a girl seeking a place to belong. "You know," she said softly, "on my planet, the bed is not just for sleep or bonding. It is for stories, for dreams, for making promises under starlight." Ryan looked down at her. "What kind of promises?" She raised her eyes slowly. "That we will face tomorrow together. That even if fear returns, we will not run." Ryan nodded. "That I promise." Alavi smiled, her eyes shining. "I do too." That night, she didn't sleep at the edge of the bed. She climbed in beside him, resting her head on his chest as if it had always belonged there. Her breathing slowed, and her fingers intertwined with his dot. There were no words after that dot, just warmth, just quiet. Just the sound of two hearts finally safe, side by side, but far beyond the snowy hills. Under the glow of a distant moon, a massive ship had entered orbit. Its scanners had found the debris of the destroyed drone, and its captain, a Kofa figure in golden armor, watched a flickering screen showing Alavi's last known signature. "She has bonded," the captain growled, "with a human." His eyes narrowed. "This cannot be allowed. The bond is broken, or so they think." Snow had stopped falling. The sky was clear again, stars scattered like dust across the dark. But above them, hidden from sight, a shadow grew. High in orbit, the Imperial vessel Velkoran hovered silently. Its commander, Lord Threxer, stood with his hands behind his back, staring at the display. On the screen, a recording played in a loop. Alavi smiling, resting her head on a human's chest. Ryan's arm wrapped around her protectively. "Unacceptable," Threxer muttered, voice full of venom. "She was meant to become the High Flame's consort. She is the last of the bloodline." A smaller officer approached nervously. "My lord, the collar is removed. The tracker signal is gone. We may not find her again." Threxer didn't blink. "We don't need a signal. We only need a reaction." He turned toward his guards. "Burn the entire valley." Down on the surface, Ryan and Alavi were finishing a quiet breakfast. It wasn't fancy, just hot cubes of ration, meat and steamed roots, but Alavi treated it like a feast. She sat cross-legged, still wearing Ryan's jacket, laughing at the taste of earth food. Ryan chuckled. You keep eating like that, and I'll have to start growing vegetables in the snow. Teach me, she said, licking her fingers. Raised an eyebrow. You want to learn farming? I want to learn everything human. If I'm going to stay, I want to be part of this life. Ryan smiled. He didn't say it out loud, but he felt something change inside him. Something real. Something permanent, but the moment didn't last. A sound low, deep, unnatural rumbled through the air. Vroon. Ryan stood up fast. Alavi froze, her ears twitched. That's not thunder, Ryan said. No, she whispered. That's a warship entering low atmosphere. They rushed outside and saw it. A giant shadow moved across the sky. The clouds parted like smoke. The ship was larger than a city block, its engines glowing with power. And then missiles launched. 1, 2, 3, all heading toward the frozen valley below. Ryan grabbed Alavi's hand. We have to move, now. They ran down a snowy ridge, sliding between trees and rocks. Behind them, the first missile hit. Boom. The ground shook. Fire lit up the white hills. Ice turned to steam. The sky roared with flame. Alavi cried out, They are not here for me. They're here to destroy my memory. What? They think. If I'm bonded to a human, then I've dishonored my house. Better to erase me from the record. Ryan looked around desperately. There's a cave not far, come on. They slid down another slope, branches whipping past their faces. Another explosion shook the forest. A tree cracked and fell, missing them by inches. Smoke was filling the sky. The warmth from the fire now felt like a warning. They reached the cave, small, barely big enough for 2 people. But it was deep, hidden under a cliff. Ryan pulled Alavi inside and collapsed beside her, panting. You okay? He asked. She nodded, breathless. They won't stop, Ryan. They want to erase the shame of me choosing you. He looked at her, sweat freezing on his brow. So what do we do? Run forever? She reached into her belt and pulled out a glowing shard, something she hadn't shown him before. What's that? A final gift from my sister. It activates a distress signal, but only to my people, not the Empire. If I send it ... they'll know I'm alive. And they may not help me, but if they see you, if they see our bond, maybe they'll protect us. Ryan hesitated. Or maybe they'll come to finish what Threxer started. Alavi didn't blink. Then we burn their sky down before they burn ours. Back in orbit, Threxer received a transmission. It was a blurry signal, but clear enough. Alavi's face, and Ryan's arm holding her close. The message? This bond is chosen. Break it, and you start a war. Threxer's fists clenched. She dares to challenge tradition ... for a human. His voice echoed through the bridge. And we shall see how strong this human really is. The bond that shook the stars. The stars were no longer quiet. Across the frozen valley, fire still burned where snow had once ruled. Trees were ash, hills were blackened. But deep inside the hidden cave, 2 lives refused to be erased. Ryan tightened his grip on the blaster. Alavi stood beside him, glowing shard in one hand, sharp steel in the other. Her silver skin shimmered with ash and heat. No more running, she said. No more hiding, he answered. Outside, the Imperial soldiers landed, black-armored, faceless, heartless. And behind them, descending in gold armor, stood Lord Threxer. Tall and cruel, eyes full of rage. I will give you one chance, girl. Threxer's voice boomed across the valley, broadcast from the ship's speakers. Come out alone. Break the bond, or we burn everything down to bedrock. Inside the cave, Alavi looked at Ryan. He shook his head. We don't do ultimatums, not on my world. She smiled, proud. Then let's introduce them to what humans do. The wind carried silence as Alavi stepped into the open, She wore Ryan's jacket proudly over her alien armor, half human, half Karithi, a living rebellion. Threxer stepped forward. So, the collar is gone, the tracker disabled. But your scent of weakness remains, she replied without fear. I am not weak. I chose. That is strength. Threxer laughed coldly. You chose a primitive male with a wooden cabin and campfire. Stories? Behind her, Ryan walked out of the cave holding a signal booster. He pressed the shard into it. A soft pulse rang across the sky. Not just stories, Ryan said. Proof. Suddenly, dozens of small crafts broke through the clouds. Karithi royal vessels sleek, silver and unarmed but broadcasting on all frequencies. The bond had been made public. Across half the galaxy, screens lit up showing a simple image. A royal alien girl, once hunted, now holding hands with a human, choosing him of her own will. The Empire's lies were unraveling. Threxer roared in anger. You disgrace your blood, but Alavi's voice rang clear. No, I restore its meaning. She turned to Ryan, then knelt. In our tradition, kneeling means surrender, but I do it not for defeat. I do it for devotion. Ryan walked over, pulling her to her feet. And humans don't let the people they care about kneel alone. He knelt beside her. Threxer raised his weapon, then died together. But before he could fire, the royal ships began broadcasting royal law. One of the silver crafts landed gently nearby. From it stepped an elder female, her robes flowing, her face old but strong. Alavi, she called out. You are recognized. The royal bond is valid. The Empire has no claim. Threxer turned. Furious. You defy the high flame? I answer to the truth, the elder replied. And truth cannot be silenced anymore. What happened next would be remembered in both human and Karithi history. Threxer, in blind fury, fired a strike toward Alavi and Ryan, but Ryan stepped forward, shielding her with his body. The energy blast hit his side. He collapsed. Alavi screamed. She rushed to him, catching his body as he fell. He was bleeding badly, but he smiled. Guess. That's one more tradition, he whispered. Protect the one you love. Alavi's tears glowed like stars. Her voice trembled. Double quotes. No, you are not allowed to die. You're mine now, remember? She placed her hands on his wound, letting her inner energy pulse into him. A soft golden glow filled the air. He gasped. Breathing again. Alive. Threxer, stunned, turned to retreat, but the royal guards had already surrounded him. The elder woman raised her staff. Enough. The fire you used to control is now the fire that burns your throne. Threxer was taken into custody. His empire would not fall that day, but something much older did. Fear, control, silence. Weeks passed. The valley healed. The cabin was rebuilt with alien and human hands, and one day, at the edge of the mountain, Ryan stood beside Alavi, both dressed in simple ceremonial robes. Before them, a circle of fire and snow. Alavi looked up at him. You gave me shelter, human, but I gave you my soul, Ryan smiled. And you gave me a reason to stop being alone. They stepped into the circle, not as two races, but one bond. And when the stars looked down that night, even they seemed to glow a little brighter.